Well, hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, one of the things that I'm struggling with as a therapist, and I've struggled with this topic for many years, is the issue of jealousy within the family. You know, there's a lot of things that you can find online. You can Google it, you can look it up. You know, in any article you find from any resource focusing on the psychology of families, the family dynamic, you can find that jealousy is something that is normal and typical for families, but you rarely, if ever, see any articles that talks about the negative impact of that jealousy within the family. Jealousy, for me personally, and this is not a clinical statement, but it is one of the most undesirable traits, I think, in a human being when they are jealous and envious to the point of wanting to destroy you, hurt you, defeat you, outdo you, and just make your life a mess. You know, those kind of people to me are beyond jealous. They are beyond envious. They are just evil. And so in today's video, I'm going to highlight what this looks like in your family. I'm sure that's the last thing that you want to think of, right? That maybe you have a family member who is envious of you and jealous of you to the point of wanting to destroy you. But before we jump in, let me briefly introduce myself in case you're new. My name is Tamra, and I'm an internationally and board certified trauma therapist. I'm also licensed in mental health, and I specialize in treating children, teens, and families, as well as adults who are dealing with trauma right in my private practice. Let's jump in. So, you know, I don't want this to come across in a narcissistic or arrogant kind of a way. But, you know, if I'm honest with you about my own upbringing, I had jealousy and envy all my development, all the years that I was developing into a child, an adolescent, and even a young adult. And one of the things that I've always had a problem with is somebody who is willing to destroy the relationship or destroy you because they can't stand to be around you. They can't stand to see you happy. They can't stand you be successful. They can't stand the fact that maybe you're in a better position than them, or maybe you're just a little prettier, or maybe you're a little bit more smooth, or maybe you're a little more laid back and handsome than them, right? You know, it's sad that somebody would go to the extent of destroying the relationship just because they have some silly, immature emotion on the inside of them that says, you know what? I'm jealous of that person. And because I am not them, and because I don't have what they have, I'm going to dislike them. That little feeling on the inside, to me, is just evil. It's not evil to experience it, right? Because jealousy is an emotion like any other emotion, right? You may not be able to control it. But it's the actions and the behaviors and the attitudes and the disposition of the jealous person that I absolutely despise. I don't like it. I think it's horrible. And I'm sure if any of you have had an experience with a jealous or envious person, you could probably relate. It is horrible. It gets even worse when they're in your family, right? And so I want to highlight some things that, you know, you can do to kind of navigate this and manage it. Okay, so the first thing that I encourage you to do is recognize it and don't deny it. You know, the minute you start ignoring it and minimizing it and internalizing it, you know, that's the minute that you begin to kind of give yourself over to that envious and jealous person. It's like saying, I know you don't like me because of who I am, because of what I have, because of what I do, and yet I'm going to give you access to hurt me, right? When you minimize, deny, you ignore, or you justify the jealous person's behaviors or the envious family member's behaviors, you're leaving the door wide open for them to harm you, because you're going to close your eye, right? You're going to cover your face, and you're going to, you know, make sure that you don't pay attention to that envious behavior, that envious disposition they have towards you. That doesn't stop the envious person, and it certainly doesn't stop how they feel about you. It just stops how aware you are of them. You have to be okay with knowing that you are envied. You have to be okay with knowing that you are envied. It's really hard to just take in and digest the reality that you are envied, that your family member wants to be you or wants to have what you have, or they have tried to blackmail you or destroy you or hurt you or harm you in some way, you know? So, you really want to get to a place of existential acceptance. And what I mean by that is that you've gone through all the possible reasons why they're like this in your mind. You've wrestled with it in your heart. You seem to understand it. You're at a place where you seem to understand it better. And you're able to accept it and move forward in a healthy way. You're not angry, you're not hurt, you're not depressed, you're not sad, right? Once you get to that place of acceptance, right, then that's where I think you can soon, that's when I think that you can become okay with where you're at in your family. You're okay at that point, I think, and you can be with being okay with being envied. I think I said that backwards. You are going to be better able to handle, that's what I mean, being envied in your family. So the goal is to be okay with being envied. That's what I'm saying. Be okay with being envied. Some people love it, right? I'm one of those people. I hate it. I don't want to be envied. I'd rather be accepted and loved by my family, not envied, not feeling animosity and resentment, you know, not feeling this huge ocean between us because you feel in some way inferior. Or on the flip side of that, feeling that you're above me, or at least trying to project that you're above me. That's another issue, right? So, you know, these are a lot of self-esteem issues that can happen in your family. And, you know, it's best to build boundaries and build space and be wise in how you communicate with this particular family member. Now, the next and the final thing that I suggest that you be aware of as you're dealing with this kind of a family member is be aware of the fact that, you know, they may pick a fight with you unnecessarily, and they pick confrontations and they pick scenarios and situations where they feel they can get on top of you and win. And it can really get as serious as the police being called, restraining orders being implemented, PFAs, protection from abuse orders, right? You know, I mean, it can get really intensified in a very dysfunctional family. If it's sibling rivalry, you know, it can kind of be like Cain and Abel in the Bible, where, you know, there was sibling jealousy between the two boys, and one ended up murdered by the other brother because the brother couldn't stand that he was called of God, favored, you know, his dad, his mom loved him. He seemed like he was the favorite. And so, you know, there's a lot of Cain and Abel situations in families where siblings don't just have sibling rivalry. It's a lot deeper than that, as I'm sure you're aware of. But then if we, you know, get outside of the sibling unit, you know, just extended family could be envious and resentful and really not support you. You can feel that on the inside, and it stings, it hurts, you know? Now, how do you even identify jealousy within your family? That's a hard one, I think, because jealousy and envy can come across as, you know, just anger. It can also come across as frustration, and it can also come across as like, you know, I don't want to deal with you right now. I'm sick of your disposition. I'm sick of your attitude. You know, I'm sick of you. Just get away from me. You know, it can come across as this playful, kind of lighthearted thing in some families that are really dysfunctional. But at the core of those things, anger, resentment, some silliness, you know, some displacement, right? Like some family members can, you know, displace their, you know, frustration onto you because they're envious. It doesn't mean they're having a bad day. It's just that they're envious. And so you're the perfect target. So, you know, those things can sometimes be clues for you. Anger, resentment, displacement, joking that they don't like you, they don't want to talk to you. All of those things can really at the core of things be envy. I think your best bet is to go with your intuition. I think we as human beings have been, you know, mysteriously created. We are enigmas, but we are also wonderfully made. And we have a wonderful internal system that is biological, and it tells us how to discern the next person and how to sense the next person and how to determine if that next person is attracted to you, interested in you, dislikes you. And it can also tell you if they're envious. And so if you get this internal sense, if your intuition is screaming envy, jealousy, then that's where I encourage you to pump the brakes and figure out what's really going on. Take some time to reflect. Get a piece of paper and a clipboard or a notebook and write down all the instances that, this family member may have exhibited to you in an undercurrent way that they were jealous of you or envious of you, So, try to figure that out. If you feel somewhere on the inside that something's going wrong, and it's not just anger, it's not just frustration, it's not just family dysfunction, but rather this family member is envious of you, then pump the brakes, reflect, look at that, write it down, give some examples to yourself of scenarios where you felt uncomfortable or envied, I've had personal experiences with envy, as I said at the beginning of the video, and I can feel that on the inside. You don't have to roll your eyes at me. You could be smiling in my face and I still feel it, You don't have to say things to me that kind of, triggers my warning signals, You don't have to do any of that. I could sense it from you, the way you talk to me, the way you look at me, the way your body language speaks to me, how you answer me, how you don't answer me, how long you let my text sit, right? Whatever. Sometimes that nonverbal communication, in addition to verbal communication, can be all the proof that you need that a family member is envious. Thank you so much for being with me today in this video, guys. I encourage you to give it a thumbs up if it was helpful, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around, and that bell button, and get more videos like this. Is this something that you have dealt with? And if it is, let me know in the comments section below. We can talk about this further. If you have further questions or you want to know how to deal with a family member like this, I can do a separate video. Stick around. I'm going to be posting more videos that you have voted on in the community section for Saturday and Sunday. I'll see you Saturday. Bye.